you just watch the white supremacy veneer of Tucker Carlson fade away as
but how's his bow tie?
Yeah, drooping because Matt Gaetz brings it into perspective, but or kind of implicates him in the whole thing.
Yeah,
of like, you met her, but it's yes, the doth protest too much. Yes, of course, it's always these guys that have spent the last number of years screaming about pizza parlors and people eating the adrenal glands of children, and just all of these things. And then here you go, you just got to look in the mirror to find all the things that you were searching for. But it's also showed how few friends or supporters he has in Congress. There's lots of talk about him showing pictures and videos of the women to other Congress people, congressmen, I'm assuming.
One would assume.
Although, probably Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins were like, I'll get back to you on that.
What's her face from Colorado, the crazy one?
Oh, Boebert?
Yeah, Boebert. That's the one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She's into it.
I'm sure she's into it because, both she and Margie Taylor Greene are really into the lifestyle of cucking husbands and getting banged out by.
I'm not here to yuck your yum if that's what you're into.
Is the show on it? Are we on everything?
I just restarted it on the Facebook.
Okay.
Because our record got us blocked on Facebook, so we.
Because Genesis.
Yeah, because Genesis. Yeah. I figured it's non-album Genesis, so I figured it'd be kind of safe, but not safe.
No,
oh well,
they're not.
No.
It's all good on FB. I don't know. YouTube was cutting out. I don't know. This is just what I'm hearing from the people on the street that I'm in contact with.
I'll check the streams while you talk to the people. Entertain the people, Michael. Say witty things while I.
Well, just to close up on this, but no support, no friends, no nothing from Congress, and after just being a Trump right-hand man for all this time. And then, being embroiled in this, dragged in his father, who said, it was a Department of Justice scam, although all of this was started when Barr was still Attorney General, that piece of shit.
Yeah.
So it can't be one of those like Biden came in and all of a sudden they're doing this. There's a lot of whataboutism about Hunter Biden and why aren't they going after him? It's just
right.
It's an awful, it's a terrible, terrible situation. And hopefully that they can, they'll follow through on this because it was it was DeSantis who's governor now, and then someone else that was high up in the Trump administration that was doing all the cases that had to do with Epstein and didn't believe any of the witnesses, and then got everything sealed and reduced, and no co-conspirators were named and all that stuff. So, I don't trust the legal system or the federal government to do anything that does it. But at this point, they're gonna cut him loose as a bad apple. That's not gonna spoil the whole bunch.
No,
and,
the whole bunch are clearly
already just it's a bunch of spoiled apples.
Crystal clean. That's the word.
Yeah. And yes, Sharif for sheriff, hypocrisy by our elected officials.
Sharif for sheriff.
Yeah. It's absolutely just that's how it is. That's like what power is now. There is no leadership. There is no quality to be gained. It is simply about enriching yourself and your friends at this point, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So, Facebook's working. YouTube's out, unless it's back up. But
it should be back up. I just looked at it. It should be fine.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right then. Everything's good. I mean, this is how the show starts. The other thing, more mass shootings, more cops killing kids, killing people. The Derek Chauvin trial is going on for the murder of George Floyd.
Yeah.
And the fact that there's, I don't know, it blows my mind about, that it would be more than just watching this trial and watching the video and then not, and convicting. He's going to get convicted. I have little doubt that he'll get convicted, and then they'll hold that up as this is this is the justice that is done for this, but none of the other cops were on trial that were there, and then Joe Biden is giving more money to militarized police anyway. So
and one of the points that I heard getting made early in the week when the trial was starting was it was getting referred to just sort of casually in the press a lot as the George Floyd trial, and George Floyd is not on trial. So
no. Ex-policeman, Chauvin is on trial, and Derek Chauvin know the names. But what 18 mass shootings since Atlanta?
Yeah,
and that's I don't know what to do in this country. We're irresponsible enough. But if I can't get ephedrine over the counter at a gas station and I can't buy lawn darts to entertain my family during the summer, then why the fuck do these brain dead smooth heads get fucking guns all the time? I'll never understand it. I really want someone to get in front of a real Supreme Court and say, show me your well-regulated militia, please.
Right.
But we're not adult to handle it. I don't know. And it's sick.
Yeah, Mr. Sharif, you're absolutely right. Yeah, he's going to, he'll get convicted and get probation or get,
country club jail, and then
30
get
days,
out.
30 days of, time served or whatever. And yeah, you're exactly right. It's going to be, the absolute lowest possible thing that clears the bar of, oh, justice has been done. He got convicted of this, and now.
Yeah. But to that greater point, like the number of things that continually get swept under the rug and forgotten about, like still no follow up on the Nashville bomber.
Right.
There's still nobody's gone to the Hague for the Iraq War. Nobody has done any time for that. Abu Ghraib, like they got one person.
Yeah.
There's all of these things, all of the torture going on in Guantanamo. There's all these things, but a whole Trump administration where every day it was something different. Every day it was some nefarious plan to make money for them and fuck the American people over. And none of that. It just seems like I read something the other day that was an article about, isn't it so nice that he doesn't exist anymore in our thoughts, that he has no, there's no connection. So it's sickness, and to just let it go is why you can get a Matt Gaetz. It is why you get a Derek Chauvin trial at all, instead of taking him out back and shooting him like good cops would do, because it would give everyone a bad name.
Yeah.
But it is absolutely ridiculous. Yes, in Georgia, yes. Sharif on fire from deep. In Georgia, it takes longer to register to vote than to getting a semi-automatic weapon. Yeah, absolutely. That's just. And if you think that's just the tip, just the tip.
That is just the tip.
Like between local and state governments, there are hundreds of bills to try to restrict voting for people of color and anyone, really, just children over the age of 18, just anything. And that's disgusting, and will never, ever work it out. I have, for one, become a big believer that elections aren't going to solve anything, because at this point it's meet the new boss, same as the old boss. Here's more kids. They're just not in cages anymore. We just came up with a better name. It's just, there's still mass shootings. There's still a huge gap in wealth distribution, unfair housing, the criminal elements of the way that police find criminal activity is all just, it's all the same. Not even the names have changed. Day to day, seems to be slipping away.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. Steel horse. Oh man, I'm you know John Bon Giovanni, and then he just joined another band, changed his name, and became famous.
Yep.
And their new music sucks. Anyway,
Well, their old music sucked too, but
yeah, it really, and watching kids at mass sporting events singing like "Living on a Prayer" and stuff, and it's like seeing kids wearing Nirvana shirts. It's like you weren't there.
yeah.
You don't know.
Over the last summer, we went to Panama Rocks for some socially distanced outdoor activities, and we saw about three 22-year-olds in the course of about an hour and a half, all wearing different artfully distressed Nirvana shirts. Like, you don't know, you weren't
Yeah,
there. I was
yeah.
I was there and I didn't care, but you weren't there.
And it's not so much about caring as much as just it's
No, I mean I was too busy listening to King Crimson at the time.
yeah. Well, some of us like our poets without heads. So some of us were taken by it was just like the you don't even have it now. The absolute impact of
Yeah.
Nirvana and just how it kind of came over you. Oh God, I am not looking forward to this summer with these kinds of just accept your small penis and move on. I'm sorry, you don't need to howl around the city. Music off of motorcycles pisses me off more than anything. I've been thinking about this because it's so fucking loud and it's always so bad because people with taste don't ride motorcycles. Like I don't get it. They have record collections.
The 60s they did.
Yeah. Well, for sure. There's a whole song about that.
Yeah.
But
well, several of them.
Stay wild. But yeah. I don't. Yeah. But yeah, kids wearing Nirvana. No, it just
get off my lawn.
Sticks in my craw.
And yes, Zachary Sharif, great book, The New Jim Crow. Yes, everybody should read it, including me, because I haven't, but I've read bits of it.
Yeah, I've read a lot of excerpts out of that for people cross-referencing other like poorer arguments.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely. So, Adam, what are you drinking tonight?
I'm drinking Prosecco that I took out of my fridge because I needed to make room for food in my fridge.
Nice.
I'm drinking Montechiaria Prosecco, product of Italy.
Yeah. As are all Proseccos, because it's basically Prosecco is Italian champagne.
Yeah, basically. But it makes a point of telling us so on the label. So,
wow.
I wanted to make a point of passing that on. What are you drinking tonight?
Tonight, I got so is it like because there was a holiday.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that work for the great Commonwealth, as we do, didn't have to go to work on Friday or anything. So we got our paychecks auto delivered a day early.
Oh, okay.
And then I also got my tax refund the same day. So I woke up Thursday morning or Thursday afternoon, maybe. But and then I was checking to see if something went through. And all of a sudden I was like, wow, I am quite better off than I had gone to bed as, which still not even close to the, I'm one minor emergency away from being bankrupt and in debtor's prison. But so I went all out for this one and picked up a bottle of Unshackled. Let's see if I can get it without the light on it. And it looks like one of those key code kind of code breaker kind of things and says Unshackled on it. California
like Animal Collective
Red Blend.
album.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. But California Red Blend out of Oakville, California, 14.5%. It's pretty tasty. I'm still getting into it because I had to do some emergency deliveries and run around before the show started.
Yeah.
So I'm still getting into it, but at 14.5%, I'm down, but at the same time, like I've crushed a couple of $25 plus bottles during our time on the air, and so far this isn't popping like I wanted it to.
No. Well, We'll check back in on it in another hour or so.
In another hour, it won't matter. It'll be the most delicious thing I'll have tasted
Today.
today. The day's not over yet. um, so we're doing a show on Easter.
Yes.
I've been taking your name in vain for the last few days about the fact that we were doing a show on Easter, but I'm glad we did, because it's not an important holiday like Mother's Day.
No. Well, and Easter, like by the time we get to the time that our show happens on, and we did a show on Easter last year because
there was nothing else going on.
Because we recycled our intro from last year's Easter show, which was what reminded me that we did an Easter show last year. It's like, yeah, we did an Easter show last year. We had that funny intro, which I will use every time we have an Easter show. But yeah, like it's not like Christmas. It's not like other days that are still happening at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah,
Easter's a morning holiday. Easter's an early afternoon kind of day. By the time we get to the time that our show is happening, you've had your ham, you've done whatever.
You find your basket right away?
Oscar found his alarmingly quickly. We had what we thought was a pretty good hiding spot for Oscar's basket.
Yeah,
and he was like, because we put out a bunch of the plastic eggs and stuff too at the same time, and he was like, oh, here's an egg up on the windowsill. Oh, and there's my basket. Like, God damn it! I thought this was gonna be a process. I mean, it took Una ages. Like, she had multiple rounds of like giving up on finding the basket and ungiving up on finding the basket. Yeah, it was that was a process. But yeah, Oscar was like, "There's an egg. There's my basket. Cool.
I'm done. Yeah. Thank you, Jesus. He is risen."
Yeah, indeed. But yeah, he's a good finder of stuff. It's he's got a knack for the hunting.
Yeah. I think I could see that.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania Jones, and he just goes out into the to the unknown world and rediscovers things that colonialism buried. That's good.
Yeah. Finds the stuff that's already existed for hundreds of years. I was like, there, that's new.
Look at this. Who could have built these pyramids? Had to be aliens.
Yep. I'm not saying it was aliens,
but
it was aliens.
But I'd have to give up my white rights if I thought that there were Nubians and Egyptians that actually built these structures.
If I thought other people existed.
It's easier for my fragile white brain to believe that people from another planet came here and gave us the tools to do this, rather than believe that a person of color could succeed in such a high manner.
Right.
Now, show me my Spam and my pickup truck.
Before I did.
We got a super dope show tonight, though.
We do have a dope show tonight. Worth taking Easter in vain to have our friends and returning champions, Mr. Bigg Wash himself, and Ms. Angela McNair, her own self. We're gonna have interesting conversations with both of them. You got anything to add to that?
I'm super looking forward to it, and I'm glad they're on the panel together tonight.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a fire and ice situation of not perspective but delivery.
Yeah.
Of accomplishment, and and I think both of them could stand to be a lot angrier than they are. I want to see it.
I revisited, in making our clips for the first anniversary spectacular. Which, those of you who missed it,
you should check it out.
First of all, shame on you, and second of all, you should watch it another time. Not right now. Keep watching this right now. But it's available on YouTube. It's available on all the places where our stuff is available. Including the podcast version is available on our Patreon, which is down here, patreon.com/SDVH. Audio podcast versions, special bonus cookies, video content, special merchandise, including shirts from the Made by Mayor's collection, other stuff as well.
Yeah, stuff, art, stuff from past guests, and stuff from Adam and I. In fact, that isn't this, so worth it, you know.
It.
And then check out the OnlyFans for all your prurient needs.
But anyway, I was revisiting the first time that Angela was on our show, and she had some moments when she got feisty that were pretty entertaining, and hoping we can get into some more of that. Although she's in candidate mode now.
Well, that's all right. I'm in lightning rod mode, or I'd like to just bring on some fury.
Just ruin, and you're in ruin people's political careers mode.
Yeah, that's the only speed I drive. Like, if your opponent isn't running me, asking you a question and editing your answer to make it sound worse than it was, then are you really campaigning in Erie? No.
You know, I still have yet to see any political ads with using people's appearances on our show, and I feel like that's a missed opportunity. Like, that's a missed Oppo research opportunity all the way around.
And it's another one of those things of how do we keep losing to these fucking people like that are so inept and just have done nothing for us. So, you know, I don't know. It's a lot.
It is a lot. It's a whole thing. Yeah. Well, should we get into a piece of music and get our returning champions on the show and then get into some stuff with them?
Ja, das ist gut.
Ja, sehr gut. So this is Paul Williams, friend of the program, goes by the name Church of Head. This is called Flying Teapots Over the Alleghenies. We'll be back with you.
Super cool. So distinct right hour.
So distinct right hour.
There's flying teapots over the Alleghenies. Who knew?
Social distancing. Variety hour.
Variety hour.
Oh, that was dope.
Yeah, good stuff. Big Wash, Angela McNair. Hi, guys.
Hey.
Hello, welcome back. It's a pleasure to see you both. You're looking beautiful today. I hope you enjoyed your Easter Sunday, or whatever it is that you do and call it. We don't need to talk about it.
Right.
Yeah. Religion's dead anyway. So, but it's been a minute. Big Wash, especially. Where are you at in the world? There's still a pandemic going on. People are still being killed by police. People are still being killed by white guys having bad days with guns. People are still being denied their voting rights. But I bet you got a big chocolate bunny to gnaw on today, so you're doing all right. But I mean, man, because like all the years I've known you, like you've been an organizer, you've been an agitator, you've been doing all kinds of things. You read, you get out on the street, you talk to people, and like the fact that this shit's still going on top of a pandemic, on top of just trying to get by on your normal day to day. What's that doing to the psyche of Mr. Washington?
Oh. Trying to keep this thing up for now.
Try to keep it PG.
Oh, we're trying.
Man, it's too early in the show to be showing off that kind of range.
Oh, very good. Yeah. You I gotta adjust this here. I mean, everything's the same. There's nothing. I think that's one of the interesting things about it. I mentioned that in the article I wrote about the fire next time. I'm just disappointed in the villains of the day.
Yeah.
I mean, couldn't they have, with all their money, because they're loaded, couldn't they have figured out some kind of new type of hate? They all just ran back to their closets and put their Klan hats on.
Yeah, but it's so easy for them. All you gotta do is be like, they're not white. Fuck them. It's just that's how smooth brain simple these people are, and it drives me fucking mad. But you're right. So at this point, I mean, especially let's say 52 years since the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. and to see and to literally use the whitewashing of Martin Luther King Jr. of all fucking people, like to see that corporations and white politicians holding him up as some paragon of nonviolence when his approval rating was like 13% among white people in the
He was literally the most hated man in America when he was killed.
Yeah, and so you see everything that's come out and has been said about Malcolm X, but especially now the stuff about Fred Hampton has been super intriguing to me, and I'm super happy that he's getting a sort of course taught just by exposure, that people can learn and see that like by 21 he's organizing outlandish things, for everything from meals to medicine to schools and doing it right.
I just remember meeting KRS-One, one of my idols, back when I was organizing back in the day. And he was like excoriating us that we need to go back to school. He said, you guys admire the Panthers. Everybody talks about the Black Panthers. But, they were lawyers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Go and finish your degrees, Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, when you look at Fred Hampton, to be so young, but to be such an important central part of so many events. I was just watching that movie about the Chicago 7, really 8, when you look at Bobby Seale.
Yeah.
And his contributions there, even before the most recent one, the Black Messiah, Judas and the Black Messiah came out. I mean, Fred Hampton was an incredible young man, and I often wonder if we've learned any of the lessons from that day. I mean, there's still an inspiration. They were still so much more ahead of where people are politically even today. And I think one of the things that's most ironic about them is that one of the reasons why they were so effective was because they weren't just spewing hate. It sounded like that to a lot of people, but you got to remember, things were as bad as they are now. I told somebody the other day, I was just like, people see older black people today and they think, oh, they're just these like nice, happy, they're, but these are people who grew up with white people spitting on them.
Yeah.
With family members who were lynched and things like that. So, I mean, as much as we want to say things were better, but a lot of them, you mellow with age, but by the same token, I mean, have we learned all the lessons? And so it's easy for people to say, like you said, it's ironic. It's easy for people to say Martin Luther King Jr. was this, love, and it was all about love and everything. Yeah, he was. But you know what? My father once told me Martin Luther King Jr. was one of the most violent men in history. Because, I mean, if you look at it from a religious perspective, what they actually did was they asked black people for the edification of white people to put their own children up to be physically assaulted and everything and abused. Mm-hmm. And it takes a lot of belief. It takes a lot of organization to do that. And then people also got to remember, if you read a lot of 60s books, you'll see, I mean, like people, you had groups like the Deacons of Defense. And one of the reasons why the black movement was so successful back then in the civil rights era was that you had so many returning black veterans. So it was just generally known that black people had the capacity to defend themselves. And that changed a lot of things. If black people weren't able to defend themselves, through their experience with the military and being able to close ranks, finally, the Klan would have just went through our neighborhoods and burned our houses down. So you got to understand when people talk about activism, they're not just talking about randomness. What is required is order, is actual organization. You can't just have a bunch of people angry. You can't just have, and there's a difference when someone's an activist and when they get into office and the way that they're able to speak and act and everything else. And a lot of times people have difficulty separating those two functions, So, I mean, I don't, it's important to acknowledge that anger exists, but a lot of the work that needs to be done has to be done in a dispassionate way. And it's harder for people to relate to that. That's one of the reasons why Trump was so successful, because people saw him acting like, he had made all those appearances on WWF wrestling or whatever,
Yeah.
And so he was able to speak that language. But we need people sometimes to do that. But we don't want the main people who are political leaders behaving that way, because you also lose other capacities.
Well, and we were talking about Fred Hampton. We watched some Fred Hampton as the intro to the show last week.
Right.
And,
okay.
And one of the things that struck me, he was talking about Papa Doc Duvalier and what was going on in Haiti at the time. And just the worldliness and awareness of looking outside of the U.S. at what's going on in other countries as a model for, what we can aspire to and, what sort of routes the, political movements in America could be taking. And I feel like the idea of looking elsewhere for any sort of guidance or inspiration has become this sort of this taboo thing. Like it's some sort of commie pinko un-American thing to look at what any other country is doing as something that we could be aspiring to.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
that's not really a question, but
no, it's not. But I mean, I'll just put that up there. I mean, it depends on who you talk to, right? One of the problems that we face here is that there's these two different worlds that have been deliberately constructed, and they're not real. But the language of one world is that there's no money in America. We're
Right.
broke.
Yeah.
The Chinese took it all, and we're mad at everybody else in the world. And we don't want foreigners coming here because you guys took all our money.
Right.
Now we can't afford these social services and all this other stuff about changing the economy and all this stuff. That's nonsense and it's garbage. And it's like, but for people who are on the opposite side of the political spectrum, we know full well that America is the richest nation that has ever existed. When you look at the people who live here and the things that the government is about and the corporations that have been produced by this country, you know, they have tax records. Interestingly enough, any size government that has ever existed has maintained some type of tax records. And in fact, one of the reasons why they know, one of the richest people in human history was Cleopatra, because they have tax records from that era, and they can compare the economic flows going on that time and the tax records, and they can then project forward to like what things are worth today and whatnot. And so they have this for all these different empires. They don't have them so much for like the Aztecs and whatnot because the Spanish burned them. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So but they have metrics of these things. And our country today is the wealthiest country that has ever existed. And so the whole thing, obviously, it has to do with taxes and things like that, but it mainly has to do with the concentration of wealth through technological advancements and changes in corporate policy. So the narrative has been altered. The cultural landscape has been altered because of these vast concentrations of wealth. And so we're at a time with the potential to do the most good for the most people in ways that actually unleash Americans to be freer, not even just for more optimistic and more of a positive influence on the world, but the point of view that serves that in a short-term way, the very richest people in this country, that political flex is crippling us and keeping us from having the best country possible. And I think most people who really understand those types of things, most people who are more educated and actually are plugged into the system and actually don't have a narrow short-term view of the world. And that's one of the reasons why you constantly hear certain people from a political spectrum constantly assailing the position of the educational system and education in general. Most people who really pay attention and really understand the facts and understand them realize this and what America could be. And that's one of the reasons why I'm glad to work with people like Angela McNair, who have a broader vision for the world in a very pragmatic and realistic way. And,
you're plugged in, Angela. Like you're one of the people that we're fighting against. You're part of the system. So what's it like on the inside? I mean, and you know, and how much is Wash right that like there's code switching for you from being the activist citizen that you are and then being a representative of the people.
Just quite honestly, I just still consider myself an advocate, even though I am a policymaker. So my advocacy comes with creating policies for fairness and justice and for whatever is right. Right now, my capacity is still on the school board, even though I am running for county council. And within my almost 8 years as a school board member, that's one thing I had to learn about just being in office is that, you know, I was told actually by someone saying to me, well, if you want to be an advocate, then you can't be on the school board. You need to not run for office. But even with that being said, I found a way to still do both. Because I have no agenda and I'm not in anything that I do is not for personal gain. So I think that is one thing that separates me from some people is that, you know, I do things based off of the needs of those who we are supposed to be serving versus for an agenda for me and my friends or whatever it is, or, you know, people of interest. and things like that, because I really don't operate like that.
Like every other Erie politician.
I really don't. I can't be bought. Most people don't even try to approach me because they already know. I don't. Some people say, "Oh, they said this to me. They said that to me," and I'm thinking to myself, they don't say anything to me because they know, how I roll. I'm straight up, and and as far as I'm concerned, I'm in it for the advocacy. I'm not in it for any other reason. I don't need anything from, what I do. I just want to make sure that people get what they deserve. And in the capacity that I'm in right now, I try to make sure that the students get what they deserve. And also the staff, the people that's helping to educate them, and just the families in general throughout the pandemic. It's been really hard. And there's been money and things that, have came through with you know, the CARES Acts and the fundings and different things like that. So one thing that I've been advocating for is to make sure that those funds are, spent appropriately. A lot of students had trouble, say for instance, you know, internet access. That was a huge thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I just screamed loud and hard. I've even made calls from different places. Like, look, I'm here at this place. They don't have enough internet, but your students are in here, our students are in here trying to learn, and you can't mark them tardy, absent, and have truancy officers at their door when you are not even helping them get the correct internet, when I know that you got money to do it. So that's how I roll. So not the typical politician that's just spitting out what everybody wants to hear, but just more so focused on what is actually needed. We got all this extra money. Where's our new curriculum at? I mean, where's the diversity at? We're online learning. Where's our diversity in the teaching? Because now we're doing virtual teaching, so we can have more minorities on the screen with the students, or even opportunities, as far as like things that ideas that I offered them, like providing more culture, even in like music class. Can we have a something different than we normally have? Can we have a guest who's from a different culture? Or can we have different things that we show to students, or guests appearances by people, just so some of the things that we keep on promising the community as a school district, this was an opportunity to give it to them, to give them some of that inclusion and diversity and things like that, or even show them new things and recreate their curriculum and be more inclusive. So I'm just all about advocacy. I'm all about what like Abdullah said, like there's money there. We're the richest country. Like, there's no reason why with funds sitting there that's appropriated for certain things aren't being used in the correct way. And that's why sometimes I might rub people a certain way, because I don't when it
No,
comes down to it,
it's a
I don't
good
want to
thing.
hear the excuse. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear any excuses as to why not, when I know you can. It's always a lot of BS. People always want to spit all this, they want to sound important, they want to sound smart, but really you sound crazy to me when you're not doing the right thing. And I don't have no problem telling them that.
Do you see it as a hindrance that you don't play the game? Because that's the way it goes now, that so many people are especially in Erie, because there's only 7 people you got to please to get all the money from every board that they sit on, so it's like it's all coming from there. But like, just because our system's so broken, it's so fucked up, that by not doing that, do you think it kind of isolates you a bit?
It does. I mean, at times I do feel isolated. There's been a lot of times where I felt like I was like the only one. But because I typically don't try to argue people down about things that I don't know about. I do a lot of research if I don't know. So typically, when I stand for a certain thing, or when I know there's something that's right, I can, present well with my ideas and my platform, and pretty much, don't have to play that game. Because when it comes down to it, if you aren't agreeing, or if you don't see the point, then it kind of makes that particular group look kind of week, like, hey, this does make sense. Why aren't we not doing this for these kids? Why are we not doing this for the community? Why, can you give me a reason why not? And even though sometimes I have to go out there on a limb by myself, I feel comfortable at this point. At first I didn't, you get scared. You're like, okay, what will people think? What will people say? But when you get to the point where you don't care what people think and what people say, because you're doing the right thing, and you're talking about the right thing, and you're advocating for the right thing, and it's all benefiting the greater good, whether you like me that's sitting next to me or not, or whether you like me that's sitting over here or not, then at that point, I don't feel as lonely. I feel more empowered, because I know that, when it comes down to it, if they disagree, or if they don't, see the point of some of the things that I present, that they're going to make themselves look like, to the public, like, why are they on this board? What are they doing? So, sometimes it used to, intimidate me that I was like not playing that game. But at this point, I think it's an advantage, because people know that I'm being real with them more than anything else.
Definitely. Are you disappointed that $70 million chunk is coming in and you're not going to get a taste of it because it'll go to the next board?
Listen, not being on the board is not going to stop me from advocating. I was an advocate before I was on any board. I was an advocate before I was a part of any political body. I've always been an advocate, and I always will be an advocate. So the school district will not. It's not like they won't ever hear from me again. I'll still be in their face, making sure they do the right thing. But I feel like I've grown to the point where, doing something different, being on county council is something that, I need to move into, because, I've done a lot on the board. So it's just, it's just time to, make some more moves on a different level, and, broaden my horizons and spread my wings to more governing bodies.
Yeah, like what kind of thought process went into that? Because I mean, you could just, you could be 80 years old and still be on school board, because you just, like you could just keep winning over and over and over again, and do it, and just like they used to do in the back in the day when they had vowels at the end of their names. So like you could just do that. So I mean, is it a need personal as well as it is for the community to go do something? Like, is it, are you ready to get, have you done what you could? Are you tired of yelling about the school board when you could be yelling about the county?
Well, there's still maybe at least I know one that's probably been over there on the board for over 30 years. But, I feel like there's more diversity in the school board now. Like, at one period of time, I was literally the only African American on the school board for like several years. Yeah. And, with being African American and a female, it was rough. I had to do a lot of battling and a lot of advocating and a lot of talking. But when it came down to it, I was one of the few people who had number one kids that actually attended Erie's public schools. Mm-hmm. Number two, when I first got on the board, I was going into the schools as a third party therapist. So I had so much, I had so much invested into just, more than just being on the board, because I was a parent. I am still a parent. I was an advocate for my students that I was working with as a therapist. And I just had, I have so much, teeth in that game of, being a part of the school district. But I have done a lot since I've been on the board. When I got on the board, there was no diversity committee. That's something that I created along with the assistant superintendent. We created that together. There was nothing like that, which turned into the diversity officer position, which is something that was never before in the school district. We never had a diversity. That's something directly that, I advocated for and saw through until it happened. Diversifying our libraries, advocating for the sports program. I'm one of the few people that talks about sports recently in the last few years. Catching up on our clearinghouse issues, catching up on, just how things are ran in our sports program and making sure kids are on track. I had to, I've advocated so much for that, kids on that to be on track in our sports program. um it's just so much. I'm currently I currently have pulled together the school policing committee with Mr. Polito.
I bet there's
That
still more cops in the schools than there are people on that committee.
you know what that's what we're trying to change, because my thing is, why do we need all these police in the schools when we're just trying to bring kids back off of a pandemic? Haven't they suffered enough trauma? Like,
Yeah.
well, I mean, if anything, we need some more mental health supports, counselors, mentors, things like that to talk to these children. These kids are traumatized. They're suffering. They have PTSD. Yeah. Like, they don't even know what it is. Like, but like, how could you have a police officer there with a gun and pepper spray and all this when you walk in the door, and and these kids, they just want to walk in the door because they haven't been there in a year. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that's a discussion that we've been seriously having, about making police officers, if any are there, resource officers more than anything else, because there was talk of a precinct going in Erie High School, and I fought against that, and it didn't happen. Which I was glad about. Like, I solely fought against that, and I fought the board, on it too. So, that was another thing that I fought for. And it's just a lot of things like special needs. I have 2 children who have autism. And I've done a lot of advocating for special needs students, a lot. So I feel like, I laid down the footwork. There's some great people who want to be on the board, who I think will be wonderful there. I know it's more diverse at this point. And I just, I feel like, now is the time, with us feeling as though Erie County needs to move in a different direction to make people want to be here, and we're going to have a lot of money coming into our county, to restructure things, to make things more progressive, to just, make Erie somewhere where everybody wants to be. We have a lot of money coming in that can go to small businesses, that can go to these neighborhoods, that can go to good programs that can help the community after this pandemic, which a lot of people need. So I feel like I'm the right person to be a part of that. I have a lot of great ideas. I've been in business myself for over 6 years, and I have a lot of experience with budgets and, just thinking and moving in a more progressive direction than we have been before. So I think the time is right, for the county council to just add some more innovative thinkers, younger, you know, just something different, because, I want to make sure that the people coming behind me have something to look forward to. We just don't waste it on the same things that we've been doing. I think Erie has a chance. We have, with all of this going on, we do have a chance to make things better, make this community and county somewhere where our children will want to stay at, not want to run away from. So I think that now is the time. I've done a lot on the board with the schools, and I think the Erie County Council would be the most natural next step. And in the neighborhood that I live in, I'm running in District 4. It's somewhere that's kind of forgotten. So I think that'd be perfect for me to be a voice for this area, because there's a lot of residential, a lot of established families over here. A lot of people live here still that live here when I was young. I'm back in my childhood home right now too. So I think that we need to be concerned. I've seen like Meadowbrook close over here. Nunzi is closed over here. Like, how does Nunzi close?
Yeah. Well, and the district that you're in, it's not. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not just the city. I mean, it goes out to Bell Valley, and it's got a lot of Mill Creek. It's got a lot of Harbor Creek.
Yep. So it's a lot of businesses over there I see closed down, or they're struggling, that we don't hear about, in Wesleyville, Harbor Creek. And I just want to, I want to be able to help more than just a certain group. I want to be able to broaden my horizons past just, you know,
Well,
where.
and I mean, in at least recent history, the way that district and county council has gotten represented hasn't necessarily represented the part of that district that's in the east side of the city. It's been the other parts of that district. So it would be. Go ahead, Wash.
Yeah, but I don't think there's really a conflict at this point in time with that.
I'm
We're
not. I'm
talking
not
about,
necessarily calling it a
well,
conflict.
no,
It's
but
just
it's
like
important.
Yeah.
It's important to acknowledge. But my
Yeah.
whole point is that this is an opportunity for Erie to take a leap forward.
Yeah.
We always talk about Erie being 20 years behind. We can at least get 10 years behind get where we should be. Like, we really have an opportunity. I remember when
the dream of 2011 is
Angela,
alive in
you
Erie.
McNair, I'll take 10 years off your life. Let's do it.
I mean, we could definitely move ahead at this point in time. You know, this is why it's so important to elect her to county council. I remember the second time Barack Obama ran, and we looked at the clown car of Republicans that was that was running against him. These were all people who took advantage of government programs to become millionaires through sketchy tactics. I remember asking my father about that, like, there's got to be a Republican out there that could run against Obama and be seen, you know what I'm saying, as new like him.
Yeah.
And he said, well, son, you got to realize that, like, most people who really want to make a lot of money now are going into finance and technology. So you're not getting the top shelf, you know what I'm saying, people.
Yeah.
They're
Right.
avoiding politics. They don't want the headaches and the gray hair. And so we have in Angela somebody who's even worked with the governor on an ongoing basis and done a lot of innovative things, not even just for Erie. And we've struggled over, you know, she is a very hands-on person, and there's a lot of people who want her to succeed and want to help her. But one of the first conversations that we had was just what she said earlier. She's not trying to get money, from him. You don't want everybody's money. You know, she really is in this, and she could be trying to just look out for herself. But she does want Erie to succeed, certainly 4th District, and help move the narrative forward here in so many ways.
Yeah. I mean, stuck in fucking neutral, like even popping it into reverse. There's just all the same fucking stupid decisions that this city makes and doesn't take advantage of. Do you have is there a campaign strategy for you in Wesleyville? Is it different, you know? Because it is. I mean, whether they're like the living situations are the same. The pandemic was the same. You know, the inequality floats both ways in a lot of parts of this town, no matter what. But it's different walking into Wesleyville than walking into the school board, you know?
It is. It's different. But I mean, living all the way, I live over here, like right on the border of Wesleyville. So it's not like I'm not familiar with Wesleyville.
No.
So that's kind of the difference, because some people don't never come all the way over to McClellan Bird Drive. They just stay on the other side of town. Like, so because my district has so many, you know, boroughs involved in it, you know, I mean, I feel comfortable with it. I don't feel uncomfortable being in Wesleyville. I don't feel uncomfortable, you know, like we have something going over at Dombrowski's in Wesleyville. You know, it's just, I mean, they have some of the same issues we have. They're not living in another world.
Oh, sure.
You know, they're going through the same thing we're going through. So I don't see it being any issue with me understanding or walking into Wesleyville for, you know, anything, because guess what? We're all facing the same issues. We're all facing the same, you know, struggles, and just, you know, and that's one thing that I want to make people aware of, that, you know, it's not just the city who's struggling. The people in the boroughs are struggling as well, including Wesleyville. So, you know, I want to go out there and I want to be able to help some of those businesses too. Like I ride past that strip
Yeah.
on Buffalo Road, and I see those stores just closing down. I've seen so many businesses close in Wesleyville, and I just think to myself, how do we attract, people to come out here, and how do we help them? I feel like nobody asks them, like, what do they need?
Yeah. Well,
Like,
Yeah.
quite honestly,
yeah.
like, when the last time you seen somebody go to Wesleyville and say, hey, what do you guys need out here? I see 3 stores on this block just closed.
Yep.
I see the restaurant that's on the corner by Country Fair hasn't opened back up yet since the pandemic happened. I feel like nobody ever goes out there and asks them, like, what's going on out here? What do you need? What do
Right.
what resources
Yeah.
do you have for us? Like, they don't nobody. I just want to be that person that doesn't forget anybody, because I don't feel like nobody should be forgotten just because they don't make a lot of noise out there, or they're not waving a flag saying hello, help. But
Yeah.
when you ride through there, you can obviously see that they need attention just like everybody else does, and I'm here to give it to them.
Damn, you were right, Adam. She is in campaign mode. That's a whole that's a whole nother thing. I honestly, I couldn't think of anyone else in Erie that could do it. I mean, just from like what you just stated alone, but I really do believe that you have super shot to do it, because you have a message that'll resonate. And I think after everything that we've just been through, I think the more progressive you go, the more people start to understand it. Like, you can see a lot of things where it's just like people stop short of being like, yeah, the next answer is we move forward, rather than thinking like, what used to work?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, what used to work is like grinding down our meal on a water wheel. We don't do that, like
Right.
having oxen drive us around. Like, that shit, we found a way to do it. So,
and I think that's the thing. These people don't see, even like, I think that even some of the younger politicians, they kind of get nervous that people won't accept them if they don't just fall in line with the things that have happened before. And, I know personally that, you might get some resistance, but as long as you have a plan and you make sense, and it just makes sense, like, it wouldn't make sense to not do, something more progressive. I think people, they get in line. You might get some backlash. You might get some people that say, well, this is how we did it. Okay, well, that's how you did it. You see 50 million times it didn't work, or it just was stagnant. So now let's try it a different way and see if it works. And then it works. And then they're like, okay, well, it worked. We can do it. It worked. And I don't care who gets credit for it. I just want to see it move forward. Because a lot of times people are just so worried about, well, whose idea was it, or who's going to get all the credit for it. You know how many times that I've came up with stuff in the school district and programs and ideas that people have stolen, or just in the community period that people have stolen. And you know how I feel about that? As long as it gets done,
right.
That's all I'm worried about. As long as it gets done, I just want to see it get done. I want to see things move forward. I don't want to see us going backwards, which I see a lot of. I mean, shoot, look at what's going on in Georgia. I feel like we're going 50 years backwards. That's what I do not want to see for Erie County. I do not want to see for Pennsylvania. I don't want to see it for the country, but I definitely don't want to see it in this county.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I think that strategy, man, I wish there was a cohesive body that took all of the Democratic and progressive candidates and gave them a plan to work together to do something, instead of just trying to take credit for other people's ideas. But I think it would be great if everyone went out there with a progressive platform and said, okay, show me what's wrong.
Right.
Show me the answer. You tell me how you fix this. You vote against this. You tell me why this won't make everything better for everyone. Like the whole idea of money equality and taxing the wealthy, like taxing the 1% and distributing that money down. Think about all the other effects, the health effects, the crime effects, like the mental health effects, the familial effects, like all of these things that they worry about, like the loss of the American family and abortion, and just all of these things are solved with all this money that they're generating at the top, because people are safer, people are more educated, people are more prone to not fuck just for the sake of fucking, because they are allowed to do other things that can bring them pleasure. But I highly recommend fucking. But wrap that shit up, because kids are great, but then they turn into people, and people suck. So
And they're
just
not,
remember.
and it's not worth it just to get $1,400 either.
Yeah.
That's going
Put
on the
that
next
your-
clip show.
Yeah. Yeah, put that on your Mother's Day card.
So,
Wash, you've been around. Oh, go ahead, Adam.
No, go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
Talk to Wash. We haven't talked to Wash in a while.
Yeah, I'm trying to be inclusive. Like I'm the one guy that's gonna bring Wash back into the fold. Yeah.
One of the key things that you mentioned here was people being on the same page. I mean, this is a lot of money. And what happens when you got a group of people and somebody throws a big briefcase of money in that group?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So this money is going out to different bodies in different ways. And you know how great people are with resources here. I mean, this money could be a blessing and a curse, right? Just as easily. We have somebody running for county executive who is of the gospel of there is no money. What could somebody who gets into office, who has that gospel that they preach, what damage could that do is a question. And then you also have, we just have a track record of people with power doing weird things to undermine each other and thus the county, right? Just unnecessary things. And so it's very important that efforts don't get duplicated unnecessarily, and that they're focused on actually advancing real issues in the county, as opposed to a bunch of pet projects and bridges to nowhere, and I mean, whatever else could be potentially in the works. It's weird to me that the business, like when someone explained to me what happened to Rick Filippi, like it was just such a weird thing, because he wasn't doing anything any different that people generally say than other people with his similar levels of power did when it came to development issues in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is the environment that we're in, and when we have people who are actually passionate about the outcomes here in this county for regular people, the potential, you know, when that preparedness and that character meets that potential, then that's how we move forward. So I'm just really excited about being here in this moment. There's a lot of candidates that I'm excited about, but just to know that we have someone like Ms. McNair here, who's willing to be a part of this process and grind it out and fight for these things that everybody needs. I was a restaurant manager for a while, and to be able to speak with people who have their own businesses, who've been left behind from the technological surges over the past couple of years. I mean, you would think that governing bodies here would try to put together a package to keep these legacy family businesses going, to help them get into the new economy. I mean, we're sitting here at a time in America where people are spending all their money because of the internet and everything with big box companies. And we have small businesses here that aren't plugged in. And that's one of the reasons why I'm excited about Ms. McNair, because she's a small business person who regularly finds ways to keep her business going, to innovate throughout this time.
Yeah. I don't know why there is all of this money and it goes to tax breaks for established hotel chains,
right? But
the empty plazas in Wesleyville, Federal Hill, all of the strip malls along 8th Street and 6th Street and everywhere else, and then up and down. I mean, just there's all of these places that were like, say, in Nunzies is closed. You know, like that's a thing. And that used to be, I bet half of the shit that Tulio got done in this town was decided at Nunzies instead of downtown. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. In a back room over strippers and Chianti. with people from the Buffalo and Youngstown Mafia in attendance, but it got done. But I mean, yes, think about it. Like all of these places are favorite bars.
Right.
You know, but just all of these small businesses, and then all of these places that were finally breaking ground, that were finally coming up, and they were open for just a minute, and then by no fault of their own, you know, like I rail against the bars and people going out to the bars even to this day, you know, and just being so upset that like nothing good ever happens at Bullfrogs. Like, why would you risk your life or the life of those you love? But I understand why they're open, and I understand why they're serving drinks, because they got to, because they don't have anything else.
Yeah.
We didn't come out and get them. And if we're not coming out and getting a place that, you know, is a super spreader event at any moment, what are we doing for the places that are necessary to neighborhoods? You know, some of these smaller markets that survive on the very margins, you know, sell Lucy's because they got to make the electric bill, that kind of shit. And yet, you know, they're not getting anything. They're not seeing anything yet. And there aren't a lot of people that are thinking about, that's where I'm going to funnel it to. They're going to take it and like, I can't wait to see how many fucking lunches are expensed at Oliver's so that they can overlook the bay and eat some cold fish and then fuck people over.
So yeah.
No, it's
important.
true though. No,
Yeah.
like it's true.
Well,
Like it's just crazy how, you know, it's crazy. Like, you know, that's one thing that I really want to make sure, because there's already been a lot of money that came through here. There's going to be a lot more money that comes through here. And, you know, with me sitting in that seat, you know, I want to make sure that the right people get their hands on it, and people even know about it, know that they can have access to things and just provide support, because a lot of people have no clue about the information, number one. So I feel like a lot of people don't even know about county council in general, you know.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, that's another thing that I want to make sure people understand, like what, you know, who we are, what we do, and, you know, how we can help, and, you know, what we do for public agencies, you know, county agencies. You know, I want to make sure that, you know, outside of even District 4, making sure that, you know, there's access to, you know, healthcare and mental health services and things like that. You know, I have a degree in social work. So that's like one of my big things. You know, a lot of people don't talk about that, but that's also needed in our county, and not just in the city, but in the entire county, is access to, you know, a lot of the support services that people are going to need, especially coming out of this pandemic. You know, it's going to be a lot of issues that need to be addressed, you know? So, you know, that's another thing that I'm concerned with. So I'm just ready to deal with it.
Yeah.
Make it and deal with it in a progressive way that won't take us back to 1970.
Right. Yeah. Oh, as our gentle friends, Jay Brenneman and Dr. Tyler Titus like to say, good social workers, good social workers to get in and do that. Not, you know, just the broken beat down, or, I mean, I don't know which ones are in it for the paycheck, because there's really not
no paycheck.
So,
we lost Flush.
Oh no, man. Oh, dude. And it sucks because from the Made by Maris collection tonight, we have our small cleanse t-shirts on.
Okay.
Because in honor of our friend Bigg Wash. We're the small cleanse with 3 L's.
There you go.
Oh yeah, can you throw this up on the big screen now that our gentle friend has returned? Yeah, this is for you, man. This one says small cleanse with 3 L's for Bigg Wash.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So
2 G's, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So small cleanse is how we're rolling tonight with the Made by Maris collection. Available on our Instagram account, S_D_V_H_. Yeah. So check that out. But those are our t-shirts tonight because we got nothing but love for Abdullah.
Yeah. Our returning champion.
Yeah, for sure.
That
it's just
means
like
I have to have the two of you guys on my show, The Conspiracy, sometime soon.
Most heavenly.
Oh yeah,
right.
I mean, absolutely in. Yes. You
So another
You-
reason why I want everyone to be optimistic is because, yeah, you know, we have a bunch of people who would be better served, possibly pursuing different avenues of leadership in our county at different various levels. But for our own selves, a lot of businesses went out, but investment opportunities will be made. I mean, it's just the nature of business. It's just the nature of the cycle there. So, you know, the business cycle will come in and it'll come out as it will. The federal government is the only body that can spend countercyclically. So they are putting their money where, you know, where Joe Biden is putting his thing down right now, right? And it looks like he's not stopping. So that's encouraging. So this is an opportunity for us to move forward.
These are merely induction facilities. Never mind the chain link fences. These children are fine.
But this is one of the reasons people ask me about our opportunities politically.
These people in Syria, they feel nothing. This is fine. This is fine.
But the fact is that things are going to move forward, and if we put decision makers in the right places, people with their hearts in the right place, you know, then we can inject our own values into this situation. And so I would just encourage everybody to get more involved. I think that's one of the problems. You have a situation where 70% of the voters are just coming from people 55 and older.
No,
what's that?
Yes. No,
that's a problem. But so you can't just sit there and complain about opportunities and not see. I mean, you know, there's a saying you probably heard it a billion times, but it's the Chinese symbol for risk is the same as opportunity. So you have to be able to see that there are opportunities as well. And that's going to require organization. That's going to require talking to people that we think we might be opposed to in one way. We always want to be looking for creating win-wins. And that's the mentality that's going to actually win out and move us forward.
Yeah, sure, Erie Insurance is gentrifying the Lower East Side, but they're building condos and creating jobs. So win-win.
Michael, I don't know about you, but I just got suddenly depressed that I realized that I'm closer to 55 than I am to 30. I'm feeling some kind of way about that, and I need somebody.
That's why
I need somebody to help me
more
right now. Yeah, my vote counts more because I'm closer to 55 than I am to 30.
Yeah, well, the challenge is to get younger people to vote. The challenge is to continually get more inputs from diverse groups of people, especially the young, because that's the future that we're setting up. Those people are going to deal with the consequences.
So what's the reactionary way to do that? Because the outpouring of first-time and long not voters was absolutely in reaction.
How do you get 18 to 25-year-olds interested in county government?
Yeah, but I mean, it was all reactionary to Trump shit. It was really that kind of push, and then the first time Obama ran was, you know, the youth outpouring, and I mean, you know, no one knew about the drone strike weddings until they started talking about him after he was already beatified. So, like, and that's the big ticket stuff. You know, Adam's right. How do you get them to get interested to out? Like, Angela would win hands down. It doesn't matter if everyone in Wesleyville voted against her, which they wouldn't, because she's got grand ideas and wants to be inclusive. But if everyone in the city turned out, you know, in her district and the city part of it turned out and voted, I don't think you'd even need anybody on the other side of the line. So how are you going to get them angry, man?
I think
you have to find a way to engage them, because if you don't, they're not going to come out. They only tend to come out when there's controversy, or it's a big election year of, like, you got some really good candidates, you know, that are, you know, going at it with each other, or there's like a huge change that might be happening that election cycle, and they want to make sure they get involved.
Ooh, can we start some controversy? Like, will you say some shit about the guy you're running against? Like that, that'll engage the youths.
You know what? I try not to do that in my campaign. I try to stay. Listen, all I can
Do you have
say
a positive TikTok dance you can teach us?
I think
this is
That's
what
what we're
I
here
will
for, is
say.
for the
I
campaign
will say
TikTok
this.
dances.
I'm not gonna be negative, but what I will say is do some research. Like, I think people you can't just go off name recognition anymore. You gotta start, like, actually go see who these people are. Go see if they're even qualified to even be doing what they're doing. Go
They're
see if
not.
they're even go even see if they're even gonna be able to do the job if elected.
Yeah.
So, just think about those things. Just think about those things. Think about what people have done already, but they haven't done already. They're qualified, their resumes, and just wonder, is like that the person that's gonna represent me well? Is that the person that's gonna spend this money we got coming in well?
This is the progressive mindset. Is like, people run on their resume, people run on their qualifications, and like I'm like that. That's what does it for me. But
also, do you know these people? Like, have you ever seen them before?
No.
They started running for office?
No.
Like,
No.
No, but what I'm
anybody ever
saying,
talked to you before?
is, like, there's
Before they asked you for
this
their vote?
whole there's this whole divide in what appeals to progressive voters versus what appeals to conservative voters, and
Right.
like, are they qualified? Do they know what they're doing? Are they able to actually do the job? Like, that's totally irrelevant to a certain proportion of voters who vote on, like,
I want to have a beer with that guy.
I want to have
Right.
a beer with that guy. He's got a nice Carhartt jacket. He's got a really attractive
He's pointing
truck.
that way.
He's pointing that way.
So this is what, like, the younger people want to see something that you've done or whatever.
Yeah.
But the older people want to see you in person. Like, I've had older people tell me, like, well, come knock on my door and I'll vote for you. Like, I want to actually see you, or see you somewhere I'm at.
Don't knock on my door.
Like, I don't know. Like, you know what I do? I just
Come and knock on my door.
right.
I'll be waiting.
As far as I'm concerned, on election day, to get younger people out to vote, I think I'm just gonna get a party bus and a DJ, and I'm just gonna pick everybody up and take them to the polls.
Oh, that sounds hype. I want to be on Angela's party bus.
First you vote, then on to resolutions. Let's go.
A big thing about getting young people to vote is that people know the stakes. Obviously, this year there are a lot of regressive policies that have been put up to get to disenfranchise voters,
right,
all across the country. I don't think it's an accident. But the other thing is, if you look at Angela's resume and compare it to anybody else that she's running against, it's clear who should be in that position.
Sure.
I've said it, but there's just no question about it. I don't think that some people who are used to being in the public eye would even know what to do with the opportunities that are before us. And you want to have somebody who has a flexible set of, has a wide spectrum of experiences, who can think along the lines of current and developing technology and culture, to be able to, I mean, the county government is largely, it's social services.
Right.
No.
And it's just math. It's
right.
a simple, straightforward
I am
thing.
a social worker.
You are, and this is not to go
a good
against
one though. But not just a social worker, but also a small businesswoman, an educator, and just an advocate. Like, I just know that whatever I like to go out and see what are the needs, which is something that people don't. A lot of these people just make decisions based off of what they think is best. They don't even ask anybody what they need. They don't even go see with their own eyes what other people need. They just say, okay, we got this money and this is what I think should be done. Did you happen to go stop by that small business that's struggling, that might not even make it to next month? did you happen to talk to people in the neighborhoods to see what they might need to make, their, to have access to certain things, to have access to, um, healthcare or stores or
fuck that, mate. All our streets
or
look as good
food
as
or
the,
anything.
yeah.
They don't even care. They don't even ask. They don't even know. So, like me personally, even before all of this, I go around and I see and I look and I observe and I talk to people, to see what's going on out here. So even when I'm not running or even when I'm not sitting in a position, I can still be an advocate for them. So that's one thing that I know that I do more than I see other people do, because they're not engaged with the community at all, and that's one thing that I value is my engagement with the community.
How's your engagement with the party? Oh, sorry, Wash. Go ahead, man.
Oh, that's okay. One of the things I would suggest, and I remember clearly when this happened, you had two things you posted at one point during the pandemic, Angela, that were about giving small businesses directions on how to get funding to keep their doors open.
Right.
I remember when you did that. I didn't have any idea that you had any aspirations to do anything except for keep your business that you own, going. But instead of just absorbing that information for yourself, you put yourself out there and instructed other people, the public, of how to get these funds and how to access these materials.
Just like the Chamber of Commerce didn't do, anyway.
You said that, Michael. I didn't say that.
No, but seriously, when this all hit, like Philadelphia and other parts of the state, they get information before we do, first of all.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I'm friends with people in other parts of the state, and I happen to, catch on to some information that a lot of people hadn't even got yet, especially minority business owners. They are like the last ones here to get the information. So I got whiff of some information about the, payroll protection loans and the EIDL loans and all those different things and different sources of funding, and people had no clue. So I was able to help some people get the heads up on some things that they would have probably missed out on. And one thing about me is, like, I'm not the type of person that I find out some information, I'm gonna keep it all to myself, because I want to be the only one that gets it, and I want to make sure I get it first before anyone. I am not one of those people. So when I get the information, I'm gonna use it if I can use it, but if not, I'm not gonna hide it from you either. I want you to know what's going on. So I very much shared it with everybody. I might even went live with the information, but any information that I get in general, I make sure I share, because it's not just for me. It's public information. Why do some people feel like they can be the only ones that have access to this information that everybody needs?
Well,
that's how oligarchies work, and that's how patriarchy works.
Knowledge is power. And if you're the only one with knowledge, then you're the only one with power.
Yeah.
Like I don't operate like that, and especially with, the minorities, it's like they be getting the short end of the stick, and I will not tolerate that. I'm very inclusive. I'm very much about diversity and letting everybody know what's going on, no matter what, because everybody deserves a piece of the pie. Like, if we're all, we all in this together, we all need each other in order to make this city a better place. We can't leave anybody behind based off of, their ethnicity or, skin color or any other thing, a gender, anything, and I'm not saying this, I know I probably come like I'm being political, but I'm really being real, because it's just, it's just me.
But you
behind.
You came with receipts. You weren't satisfied to just say I'm visibility. Like, kids are going to see me on the school board and think, oh, I can be on the school board. You're like, no, I'm on the school board because cops in schools are fucking bullshit. We need more mental health. We need people to have internet, because this is how the world works now. And not only on the schools, but for local businesses, because this is the community that funds our schools. And you're not just sitting back and saying, well, look, I'm here and that's good enough. And I feel that a lot of times that's what happens. And a lot of times people get pigeonholed into that. Like when Wash runs against Bizarro in the next cycle from the left, I think that'll be great. And because I bet you could name more dogs than he's given holidays to.
I'm here for that.
He can run on his record
Yeah.
of just winning elections,
Right.
and not doing anything.
Undefeated.
Undefeated.
Well.
Man, when did you become a company man? Come
Oh,
on, Wash. Yeah. Mm.
You know what, man? You're a
I know, but I remember when
very
you.
interesting dude. I don't believe in kicking hornets' nests, man. Like,
But you used to.
I'm going to do what I need to do, and when I need to fight something or someone, I will fight them. I'm not going to fight 20 people leading up to them. I'm going to go.
He's skipping straight to the boss battle.
Listen.
These hands only hit the good stuff.
In I believe it's the Hagakari, it says when threats and intimidation won't work, go directly to their house and kill them where they live. So I mean, I don't believe in wasting, effort and words, and that's
Mr. Washington. This sounds like a threat.
That's what's going on at the bottom of Wash's campaign
But
I
mean, like,
Big Wash, kill them where they live.
Else, by the way, but the whole point is
they're not going to include that part.
What's that?
They're not going to show that part.
No, they're not. Okay. So my whole point is, like, I can be mad at some political issue, but it doesn't help if we're just running around, running our mouths and cussing, and there's no organization going on, there's no strategy being pursued. I think it's possible for our Democrats, our local Democrats, to do their jobs. And I expect that of them. I think there's a reasonable position for Republicans to have. If you look at their platform in the 50s, a lot of it was a lot of stuff that people are saying, the Democrats are saying today. I think there's a sensible place for people to be at. But when we don't hold each other accountable and we just write each other off, then all you're doing is setting up a room where people just shout at each other. Right. And I don't think
But that's why we have this show, is to have a room where people shout at each other.
But I mean, much like your dating profile, I think you need to lower your expectations because, like, around here, no. I mean, half the fucking Democrats aren't even Democrats. They just run because Democrats get elected, unless they got, Mike Kelly hurricane damage car money. So
well, and he's not winning based on the city. I mean, he's winning. Yeah. He's winning because they love him in Meadville or Franklin.
Right. So the issue is getting more people to actually turn out and vote is going to solve a lot of problems. The more the people, the less people who do, it just maintains status quo. There's people who are probably great. They have great intentions, but they feel that they can't do things. They can't speak up on issues because the only way they know they can be in office is by appealing to people who have money, because they don't believe they'll ever be able to get the votes to do the same thing or to do better.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, I mean, I try to operate out of that because I can sit here and be angry and shoot my fist at everybody and stuff. But like, what is that really going to do?
I liked you better then. But I mean, come the fuck on. Like, in 1992, they had Don't Stop Thinking About Tomorrow, Bill and Hillary and Alan Tipper, and they're coming out and they're holding hands, and it's the new boomers are taking over, and the younger generation, we're ushering this shit in, and as long as young people get out to vote, and in 96, a whole bunch of fucking, which was the first presidential election I could vote in, fucking tons of people turned out and were just like, but there really weren't tons of people. And then a bunch of people were against fucking the shit that W was doing. Yeah, well, and they're like, we got to get the youth to fucking turn out. And we get the youth to turn out, we can turn this around, but not fucking John Kerry. Yeah, but and then people came out for Obama, and people came out in Obama, but not the numbers that you want. And then no one came out for Biden, because who the fuck cares? And they only came out because it was anti-Trump and because they cut off Bernie's legs before he could run. I mean, right. I don't know what you're going to do within a system to get young people to vote, like they just want their YouTube and their Monster Energy drinks. And of course I'm being glib, but Like,
I mean, I want my
seriously.
YouTube and my Monster Energy drinks.
And yes, Dr. Titus, I understand that voter suppression is a thing. And I understand that voting by mail for everyone and just automatically registering everyone to vote.
Right. That
Like,
would be
I had
great.
to fill out a selective service card just in case we got into another Vietnam situation because Pepsi and Kentucky Fried Chicken weren't pulling their weight in
But, I
America,
mean-
so we had to sell them in a Southeast Asian country.
But I mean, trying to rock the vote has been the thing for 20 years now.
30.
Okay, so you want to hear something I'm going to say here that I don't usually say in public?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Now,
This is why it itches.
oh. Well, the problem is when the wall came down, and this is going to sound terrible at first glance. You know.
Oh, keep going.
Oh, go on.
Okay.
Yeah.
The plot thickens.
So, I mean, Vladimir Putin basically, everyone was concerned what was going to happen with Russia's nukes, right? And their economy was totally descending into utter chaos. And he perceived the existential threat and decided, look, there has to be order, you know? And so, you know, because we, you know, there was any number of movies that came out about stray Russian nukes and the possible end of the world.
Sure.
So, I mean, I'm not saying he ever had good intentions, but there were things that he had to do that ended up in him consolidating all that power for himself. And so, I mean,
I am
it
your
wasn't
benevolent leader.
no, what's that?
I am your benevolent leader, and I will take you to the
you're
promised
all-
land.
But
I just need your natural gas money and your nuclear weapons.
Right. But what I'm saying is, like, he effectively like stopped a certain level of chaos that no one was prepared to even deal with conceptually. We always thought the Cold War in the world was going to come in one form.
Right.
And then this happened. And it was like, so now the world just changed. And people, you know, they were asking Russia to pay back 81 years of money that they lost, of the powers that be lost because they nationalized that whole country.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were in a totally untenable situation. And so you can't say that there was nothing good that came out of this person doing what they did. But the world changed. And I think with the time that you were describing with the Clintons and all that, I don't think anybody knew what was possible with the economy. They saw a lot of good and there was also all this chaos. So the world still isn't really settling out from that. And there's good and there's bad, but there's potential. And so what we'd like to see is, I think there's so much that has been deliberately done to stymie our efforts, the efforts of people who want a better future for this country, for at least the people of this country, just to take advantage on people's ignorance. And mass incarceration helped. The problems with the school funding helped. You know, we've just been beaten back as regular Americans and whatever groups you want to talk about, because those who had power and wealth saw this ability to have short-term types of gains. But what I'm hoping with, as people understand more about the environment and how all these issues are tied together, that people will advocate more for these types of changes, for these types of improvements, and have a more clear view. And certainly we need young people to embrace that, because they're the ones who are going to be there if there is an environmental collapse and all these other things. Right. So, I mean, there's no reason for young people not to do so. Older people, you know,
sure.
I think with young people, you got to show them something they're going to get too.
Right.
A lot of younger people are more visual. They need something they need you to show them something. Right. So I think that, you know, even, you know, with this election, there's not a lot of people who are showing people anything. And that's one thing that I do with my campaigns is I'm very visual. I'm, you know, very social media. I try to meet people where they are at. And that kind of helps motivate people to want to see what's going on, to be involved. Because there's a lot of people, like, even now that are supporting the campaign that I've had people, I never voted before. They in their 30s. I've never voted before. How do I vote? Because I want to vote for you. Because they see me talking. They see me talking about what can happen for them when I'm elected. And I've already helped a lot of people. and not so that I can say that it helped them, but just because that's what they needed.
Because you were fucking right. Yeah.
They respect it, and they might have never voted before, but they want to vote for me because they know me, and they know what I've done, and they know what I'm capable of. So that's one thing that I would say with younger voters is being more visual, because they need to see it. They need to see, okay, well, we respect you, we respect your work. So, I'm on Facebook talking about it. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Snapchat. I'm on all of those different social medias talking about, what can be done. So they say, hey, I might not have voted in 30 years, but hey, I want to vote for you because I've seen what you can do already. And I'm seeing you talking. I'm seeing you walking around. I'm seeing you moving. You actually showing us places that you want to help us in and things that you want to do for us. So I think that's one big thing with younger people is like being more visual. And meeting them where they are. You can't meet young people at a private club, and
Yeah.
drink
Yeah.
their vote. You have to just
Young people love the Manor Core.
Yeah, that's one thing we have to do is make sure that we're meeting young people where they're at, and they're not in those places. They're out here.
I learned it from watching you.
Yeah. I know, but putting tangible goods in the hands of someone, watching a neighborhood be revitalized, watching a store that they go to be fixed up and updated. Like, I was just talking to someone today, like, because the government involved themselves in a little bit of socialism because of the pandemic and started sending out money, like, I got more money in my savings account right now than I have in a really long time.
Me too.
Like, I'm feeling pretty, I'm not secure, but I'm feeling a lot better than where I was. Like, if my car breaks down, I could probably get it fixed and not have to like eat ramen for 2 weeks, And I think if you show somebody that, it'll change them. If you can give them that, it'll change them. If you have fewer metal detectors and fucking cops hassling students, and you give them balanced meals and teachers that look like them and a history they can comprehend and a reason to show up and something to look forward to, then they will vote for you forever. And then you can go back to the school board and be 80. Yeah. I shot Sharif the sheriff fixing up parks in the neighborhood. I remember back in the day, as a very single digits, being really into baseball, and we played all over the city, and I would go all over the city to just to shag balls in the outfield or just to get 3 pitches to look at.
That's crazy.
And you could go all over the city and have it. And now,
when we were kids, man, there was all the pools,
Yeah.
We didn't want to come home, man.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because we were doing anything sketchy. There was just always something to do.
Right.
Yeah,
because you didn't need to do something sketchy because you were having fun.
Right.
Because there weren't people chasing you. There weren't people that were after you because you looked different or you were out too late or you were in the wrong neighborhood. It's because you could go out and do something.
Right.
And now you've taken that away. And then that fear factor that will forever enable a white person to get votes anytime, because all they got to do is be like, aren't you scared? You need more of this, more of me, and you won't be scared anymore. Instead of, if you gave people secure jobs, a livable wage, health care, a place to go during the day and a place to go during the night and feel safe, all your other problems go away. Hyperbole again, but all your other problems are vastly diminished, but then you don't have people that go into corporate prison systems. You don't have people that go into imperialistic military systems. You don't have people that go into for-profit colleges and work programs that just feed you into the gristle mill that is capitalism. Right. But it does take away from a lot of this. And that's why I miss the angry Abdullah. instead of this,
Well, you want to hear something funny if it makes you feel any better? If you look back at previous politicians, generations of politicians, many of them were involved in the music unions and whatnot. And it's weird to think, of like, maybe City Hall being like mostly, mostly people who are musicians, in there during the weekends and all these things. Our culture has radically changed, but I think it's important that we kind of close this gap between the everyday person who lives in Erie and the people who are in the halls of power making all these decisions. It doesn't work out to our best advantage. If anything, there should be more interaction, more support, more awareness. A lot of this has happened across America as a whole, not just in Erie, but I think it's more glaring in Erie because of all the poverty here. And it's this hollowing out of our culture and our society when we should be going the opposite way. And that's one of the things I find inspiring about Ms. McNair, is just because she's involved in all these different facets of our county. Well, and she's willing to use her intelligence towards the betterment of these things.
I mean, you see it in the schools, and Abdullah, I know you see it in the everyday workaround world, but like the immigrant population in Erie, the people from outside of America that are here, like, I don't know why we're not just like overjoyed at this. I mean, I know why. I know why, but like, I don't know why this
is that one
pushed.
thing.
Yeah, there is that one thing that's holding all that back. But holy shit, just on the, like, this town loves to fucking go out to eat, and they go out to the worst fucking chain restaurants, and it pisses me off. Like, if we gave money to the people just that the EDDC fucking evicted from downtown, that changes everything. Just a taste of that money that they're going to spend revamping parking lots and bullshit would have changed everything for Kautai and Tandoori Hut and everything going on at Casablanca. Like, it just would. And we're not taking advantage of that. Just the musical experiences, the cultural diversity and learning of, like, how we Hakuna Matata, how we started this conversation of just learning from another perspective that changes the way you think. And we're not embracing it. In fact, we're sort of stealing government money to turn it into
Well, I mean, so apparently in Buffalo, they've been doing, I've seen some things about in Buffalo, how they're more embracing new American communities and realizing
new Americans. That's the proper thing to say that I don't know, because I'm an old white dude.
Michael, if you're old, I'm old. So let's just leave it.
Oh, you're fucking old. you now you look like Lawrence Fishburne after his first bout of chemo. Come on, man. Where are you at?
All right.
God, I love you so much. I love you so much.
This is all predicated on the fact that I have somebody who's younger than me that I'm supporting right now. And I'm glad you can talk. I brought you somebody of quality. I'll take it, Mike. So yeah, I mean, we can always do better, but I don't think I honestly don't think that a lot of people who we've seen really know how to do better. And that's what's troubling. But again, we have an opportunity to do right by our county.
It pisses me off because 10 years ago, you wouldn't have fucking said we could do better. You'd be like, I'm going to knee this fucking guy in the throat, and then we're going to march on to betterness.
Well, when you get to be Wash's age, maybe you'll mellow out too. So, Angela, I hate to harp on the job that you're trying to not do anymore, but this election cycle, we've got you and we got friend of the program, Dr. Titus, who's been in the comments. Hi, Dr. Titus. we got both of you who are obviously two of the more progressive voices on school board, and you're both this time around trying to move on to other things. How does that leave you? How does that leave? I don't want to make you speak for anybody else, but how does that leave you feeling about the future of the school board and where school board is headed with two of the more
How much did Dr.
so-
Tate scare you, and is that why you're leaving? No.
Oh,
No,
we love Dr.
I know
Tate.
that I can run again on school board and win. Like that's not even
right.
my issue. Like
well,
at all.
and not even
and I
that,
know that
but
if Tyler wanted to run for school board again, he would obviously be, you know, on the board again if that's what he wanted to do. But my thing is like there's some good people running, you know, and I feel like I've been through a lot with this school district. Like I've been through school closings, been through changing superintendents, we've been through the pandemic, we've been through a budget crisis. I mean, we've been through a lot. You know, I've been
Sure.
through a lot personally on the board. Before Tyler was even on the board, I went through them 4 years, was a lot going on. Like we had to recover from so much, you know.
Thanks for showing up to help.
Like literally, like I feel like I had to be on there. We would have been bankrupt for real, you know? Like I just really feel like, you know, my presence just put us over, you know, that bad hump we were in. No, I'm just playing. But seriously, no, I've been
No, you're not.
I don't even operate like that. I would never say that about myself. But anyway, but I did go through a lot with these people. Like, and I did a lot of advocating and arguing and making of the sense, because even as a business person, a lot of those people don't like, you know, it's about the education first and the students and the families first, but it's also a lot of business going on too, because you can't educate them for free. So, you know, you got to handle your business as well. So, you know, I've been through a lot with them, and I feel like it's at the point now that, you know, some of these people that are running can do a good job. You know, I feel like there are.
Well, and I guess that was my question is like, does feeling like there are people ready to step up make it
I absolutely
make it
do.
easier
I feel
to
like I do feel like that there are people who are running who can get the job done. I feel like, you know, with even me and Tyler, we like are some of the more vocal people on the board. I feel like it might give other people a chance to, you know, express themselves more and, you know, do more, because there are people on there now. You know, I feel like Lori and Gwen, they are very good people to be on the school board. They're both educators. They're both, you know, they both manage things. They're both very smart and connected to the community. I feel like that'll give them a chance to, you know, step up and be the leaders of the board now. And then also I feel like there's some good candidates. You know, I feel like Dr. Tate is a good candidate. Obviously Daria, like, you know, that's my girl. Like she was dang near running the district for a minute. You know, so I feel like she's, you know, an excellent candidate to be on the board and help out. You know, I feel like there's people who are, you know, if elected, you know, I feel like you know, there's some of the other candidates, you know, it's a diverse, you know, I want to see some more diversity on there. I want to see Dr. Tate on there. I want to see Sharif on there. I want to see some diversity on there. You know, I want to see them on there. I feel like that he would be very good on there, you know, to bring some diversity. I feel like that would be amazing to have him and her on there, would be awesome. And then, you know, put Dario on there. I feel like, you know, those three would be great. I'm not saying that nobody else wouldn't be, but I know them, you know, I know that that's a lot of diversity, a lot of, you know, progressive thinking. I know there's a lot of know-how in there. So
yeah, I fucking upgraded my Magic Negro from Abdullah to Zachariah. Like, I know what I'm doing.
Listen, I feel like you get those guys in there and, you know, you mix them in with, you know, people like Daria, who has a history with the district. I feel like they can go forward. I feel like if people vote, and that's why we need some younger people to vote. So, you know, people like Dr. Tate and Sharif and Sharif can get on there so they can, you know, it's just going to take younger people it's going to take more people to get out to vote than usual. And it is going to take the younger vote to get them out there. But I'm confident that people will do the right thing and see this is what the board needs. I feel like, you know, I did a lot in these 8 years, and it's just, not that I'm abandoning ship, because I never will, because I have children who are still gonna be in the district, so I can't abandon ship ever. But I just feel like it's, just time to move on. I did a lot.
No, I agree, and I think
I want
now's
to
the
make room
time.
for somebody else to, I don't want to be one of the people that's sitting on a board for 20 years just in the way. I did my progressive thinking for the school district, in a lot of ways that I didn't even talk about. So I think that, it's time for somebody else to do some thinking, bring some more ideas, that I might not even thought about. I don't know everything. So, they can bring some more perspectives that I can't bring, and I feel confident that they'll be able to get the job done.
Absolutely. Just like our opportunity to have all the progressive slate school board candidates on was mind blowing. It was fantastic.
That was really great.
I mean, and you're right, and because you should not even moving up, but moving on to something else to tackle, because it's bigger than what you're doing, because behind you are the people. Like, I talk about this in an economic way of how, like, boomers sort of clog the pipes of people being able to move up and to make their bones and to get the higher paying kind of management jobs, because they just stayed in forever.
Right.
And so they're just people that could never move up and are just squeezed out. And then a technology jump, and then there's 2 generations that just never had the training or education, so they can't even think about it and do it. But people will just stay in the way.
Yeah, and I don't want to be one of those people that stay in the way. I feel like I, as a African American woman who was just very vocal, who was just, right out front, making some noise, causing some change for the Erie School District, I feel like I kind of opened a door, for people coming behind me. Sometimes that's what you go in place for, is because I really never seen, a Black woman on the school board just make so much noise and advocate for so much change, and put themselves out there, without worrying about what people think or say, because I know what the students and families everyone in the situation needed. And I feel like, I opened up a door for people to not be afraid, as a minority, or as even I, at one point, being the only minority on the board, and not just feeling like I need to sit there and be quiet. So I just feel like, me being so vocal, me and being so progressive, and me being, so, active on the board, has set it up for those coming behind me to not be afraid to, raise their voice and say, hey, look, this is not right. I want to see this, that. This is what the community needs. This is what parents are saying. This is what kids are saying. Don't have to be scared of it, because a lot of times people feel intimidated on these boards. They feel like they can't say anything. And I feel like, me being on there just helped them know that you don't have to be scared. If what's right is right, and be a voice, because that's what you're elected for, is to be a voice. You're not elected to just sit there. So I feel like, me being there, I set a kind of a precedence of, letting others know, especially that minorities that will join the board, that you don't have to be quiet. You don't have to be scared. You're there for a reason. Open your mouth and, say what's right for the students and the families. And now I can go ahead and do that on a whole nother level, by moving into county council.
So I think we touched on this before the last time you were on, but I love it. I love talking about it, and I love thinking about it, because it still works. Like, for as much as you have the outreach on, like the Instas and the Snaps and the Facebooks and stuff, like, there's still something to be said for traditional media. And, like, there's a hedge fund in New York that owns our newspaper. There are 2 out-of-town companies that own 4 television networks in here that show 2 versions of news, but are run by the same, 8 people every week. How has the media been to you? How much do you need traditional, not Adam and I, but traditional media to fucking pay attention to you? And how hard was it for you to was there ever a point where you felt angry Black woman and that you had to embrace it and break it because of what it was? Because I mean, like, how has it been for the media reception? But then also, how can you use it to do anything? I mean, are they calling you? Like, you're on our show tonight, so obviously, like, they're not sitting down for long form with you, you know?
Sometimes I feel, like, the media is there for you when they need you to have something to say about what they want you to have.
Yeah, manufacturer consent. That's my favorite. That's my jam.
So, but at the same time, like, media is important because a lot of the voters, they do watch the news. I mean, a lot of the younger people might not watch it, but a lot of older people do still tune into, the 11 o'clock news, the 6 o'clock news, the morning news. So I think it is important that you are on there. I think that, there are points in times where, it's kind of, it can be kind of dry towards, the situation, but
dry towards the situation. That's
did a white woman cook this chicken? There's no spice in it at all.
It can be kind of dry, but I just think that, I think that you have to, as a minority, I think you have to just kind of like make yourself known to the point where they can't ignore you. And I think that's what, I pretty much have had to do over the years. It's like, you might, you don't want to show up to this, but you're going to have to because it's relevant. So, that's kind of the challenge that you sometimes face as a minority in mainstream media, is that a lot of times, it's something negative that we're in there for and less positive, but you have to like kind of basically say, listen, okay, you're not just gonna come around here for asking me what happened at the corner store. I need you to come over here to my Juneteenth. I need you to come here to, these stores that's opening over here in Liberty Plaza. I need you to come over here and share some positive media on some of the good stuff that we doing too. Don't just show up when, we need to identify somebody. We need you to show up when it's time for us to in our winning season too. And I kind of like made that known to the media. Like, you can't just, you can't just only show up when it's a problem. Show up when it's something good happening for us too. It'll be a lot going on good in the minority community that don't get the proper attention. So, I just want to, that's one thing that I kind of just always put it out there, like, make sure you show up for us just like you show up for everybody else. We do good stuff too. We do a lot of good stuff. We got a lot of good stuff that's going on. So don't just come over here when it's just,
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that's one thing I made sure that
Alabama just passed a new bathroom bill. Dr. Titus, do you care to comment? Like, come on. Yeah, for sure.
I just kind of make sure that I kind of stay in their face too, because I don't want you can't just interview me when it's convenient for you. You got to interview me when I'm doing something that needs to be interviewed for as well.
Yeah.
Yep. Angela, like, I don't know, you're such a strong candidate, and I think you get short shrift, and that's why I brought up the media question, because they don't cover shit like they should. Wow. And I mean, like, 8 minutes of fucking weather in this town is pointless because it's all wrong every time. But Wash, I mean,
might rain,
I know
might not.
It might. I don't know. There you go. Come on a cruise with me and my wife around Europe. You'll love it. I'm a meteorologist. Anyway, but Wash, you dabble in the media. Do you ever feel like your message gets lost? Do you ever feel like you got to, like, I'm not one to cater to other people. That's why I'm doing a show with Adam. And, but I mean, like, do there's definitely things that you know about that people need to know. Do you feel like you get your point across? Do you feel like there's a place in Erie that can put your point across?
I mean, to some degree, but the media is so mixed now. I just concentrate on trying to produce. I mean, as an artist, you if you're serious, you start out early thinking, well, these are my couple good ideas. I don't want anyone to steal them, so I'm going to be very judicious about how I put them out. And then after a while, you realize, I'm making more and more stuff. I'm innovating. I'm creating. And so you don't.
Now
focus.
Superman's having sex.
So,
that's my favorite Wash poem. Oh, Wash and I used to be poets.
No, I remember.
Used to
Big
be.
Wash, I used to be. And Wash had this like superhero magnum that he would read from that would get kind of dirty in the superhero kind of genre. And it was funny. So that was kind of an inside joke that doesn't matter to any of you, but it's something I thought of that I don't care about making other people laugh as long as I'm entertained.
Very good.
Plus, I'm unshackled.
So we just we just focus on trying to be as creative as possible and putting that out there. And it's just one of the things. It's like one of the things I think about hip hop that's so disappointing is the creative cycle. You never really get to see it with most hip hop artists, because if they start out making a hit, the investment cycle is very short, and they ride that wave. And the second they fall off, there's very little longevity there, because the business model is just on who has the biggest hits and can keep that going. Whereas
it's this is how we do it theory.
Go on.
No, but I mean, and I'm trying to think of his name, and I can't.
Jordan.
There you go.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
his song.
Yeah, but what else did he do? And yet they play that at sporting events. They still play it at a club. Like they'll drop it down so like 39-year-old people can, get their swerve on. But I mean, that was it. And that's all. And then they just continue to produce these one-hit wonders where they never have to pay talent. Probably doesn't own the publishing rights.
Right.
He's got a small home
maybe
outside
not.
of Atlanta, and that's how he does. But I mean, like,
well, there's much more of a machine. And so what I realized that I need to do is I just try to keep putting out output. And usually people come to me to see what I'd like to say or whatnot. And that's what's been happening lately. So I'm just trying to focus on being in the right place and being able to add to the conversation. And as long as I'm able to do that, that'll continue. But I think a lot of it has to do, I'm trying to get better about saying no, but there's so much I care about that I end up potentially overextending myself. Yeah, but by the same token, people get the message enough that they reach out to me for things. So I just take it for what it is, I think, I was like a lot of people last year. Man, if we just get rid of Trump, everything will be all right, right? And then here we are now in Erie. This is probably the biggest election year possible when you consider all the different positions that are up for grabs. Nobody thought, most of us, I'm going to say I didn't consider being on the other side in 2020. And it's like, I'm kind of mad because I wish I would have been able to be out there continuously trying to get people activated as far as being voters. And I still need to do that, but I would have been, and I had conversations to that effect, but at the end of the day, this is a pivotal moment. So I don't think I have an option, especially since, this issue about voter disenfranchisement is so big. It's like we're collectively burnt out from having somebody whose job was to gaslight America at 2 and 3 in the morning every single day for 4 years. Now that they're not in that position anymore, we feel like, oh my God, it's over. But no, it's like on a roller coaster ride when you forget there's another big hump coming up,
Yeah. Well, remind me on this when we're on your conspiracy podcast, because like the same people that run everything and the same people that collect all this wealth are the same people that allowed this like failed real estate rich kid to reality TV host to become president and gaslight us every night, because the same shit is continuing. Right. We are still bombing people in other countries we have no business being in. We are still incarcerated. We still have corporate slavery happening.
Dude, if you want to see something terrible, man, this is going to sound really, now I named the show Conspiracy Theory, but please don't get the wrong idea, or not conspiracy, the conspiracy.
It's the
But,
right,
Not
it's the right idea. Yeah.
Conspiracy.
So apparently they're using those evil little drone dogs in New York now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, what in the hell? Like, who thinks that's a good idea?
Boston Dynamics created them for the U.S. government so that they
right?
control people like you that used to be angry.
But I mean, it's not stopping, right? I mean, there are certain, like, when I first thought about going back to school I was interested in cognitive science, and there are definite science has advanced so thoroughly that there's an understanding of limitations of the human psyche, the human physiology just keeps improving, and the purpose of that particular field is to inform computer programmers and robotics people to create better and better artificial intelligence. And, there is a saturation point that we all experience that we're willing to let certain things go because we're concerned about our immediate survival. And if we just kept track of all these details at all times, we get burnout.
Yeah.
Your psychology knows that. So it says, okay, only these things are important. And, we're being forced to evolve in many ways or not. And so, I mean, this is a crucial time. I think because of the technology, they're constantly trying to figure out ways to extract more and more wealth out of the same regular human beings, right?
They're running coal-powered fucking computers to make cryptocurrency in the desert. Like, yes,
yeah.
This is a totally fucked and flawed system. Angela, I don't want you to give a campaign speech, but I really for anyone that'll watch this and dig this up. I know that Dr. Tate and Kendrick Tate are watching. That's 2 Tates, and that's probably means there's 10 more Tates watching. So we got a whole bunch of people out there watching that could potentially vote for you. So, the distillation of everything that you've accomplished, everything that you've been, and the fact that you're jumping from a school board to a county position that has a direct effect on the family and the business and not just the student, but now you're cradle to grave. Your drive, your purpose, your want, the essence of Angela, just spray that all over the screen because I'm enamored with your thoughts and your ideas. And I really love getting people to say no to the right thing to do so that you can prove your point. So I think you're really genius in a whole other way that people don't expect. And so just take a couple minutes to tell everyone why you're the right person for the right job at the right time in the right community, Erie, Pennsylvania.
I know I'm the right person. I've been here my whole life. I know the city. I know the county. I've always been a helper. I've always had innovative ideas. I've always been progressive in my thinking. I am all about finding out the needs of people in order to move in a direction that will help them, and not just trying to make decisions for people without actually knowing what's needed in order for them to be able to sustain and maintain. So, and that's part of the social worker in me, is just being able to understand the needs, evaluate situations, and then make progressive changes that will ensure that we don't stand still. One thing that I really do not like is for people to be at a standstill, no matter where they are in life. I feel like there's always room to grow, and I know that Erie has a ton of room to grow. I know that we're about to get a lot of funding here, and there's no reason that Erie should be stuck, where we are. There's no reason that businesses should continue to fail. There's no reason that we aren't going to move forward as an entire county, all inclusive, not just one part of Erie, but the entire Erie County. Once again, we shouldn't leave Wesleyville behind. We shouldn't leave other areas behind. It should be an all-inclusive movement forward for Erie County so that we can, be here. I chose to stay here as a young person, and I want my kids to stay here. I want them to have a county that where they feel comfortable that they can raise their families in. And that's what I want to be here for, is the setup. And I feel like, with all the things that are coming our way, even though we had to live past so many challenges over this last year, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and I want to be that light. I want to be a part of, the progression that we make that changes this whole entire county in a positive manner. I want to see small businesses open back up. I want to see the ones that are struggling get a boost that they deserve. And I just want to see things happening around here that make people feel better, and put them in a better position. And I've done this, in other areas, and I've always, been here for our city. And at this point, I want to be here for the entire county, all inclusive, so that we all move forward. And make Erie the place to be. I don't want the population to decrease. I want to make it increase. I want to make, jobs available at a living wage. I want to make sure that, we are able to get people back to work. A lot of people aren't working right now. I want to make sure we get people back to work. I want to give them small businesses some support so that they can bring some more employees in and grow. So, it's just a lot that could be done, and I'm here for it. And I'm willing to listen, because a lot of times people don't listen. They don't listen to the needs, of people. And then, when they fail, we wonder why. But one reason is because we don't hear them. And I want to be that person that listens, evaluates, and makes progress.
You're the best. That's great. That's awesome. I think we should unionize all the hotel workers on the Bayfront. That would be great.
Big wash.
I can't wait to expense lunches with Angela at Oliver's. That'll be awesome. Bring me another Clams Casino. That'll be great.
Big wash. What you got?
Where can people find The Conspiracy?
What's on the platform with Marcus Atkinson's The Public's Voice. So we just shot an episode earlier today with two of the leaders of the APA, the American Pacific Islander Association, the Asian Pacific Islander Association. Sorry. So that'll be out soon. But I'm going to be shooting apparently 2 episodes a week throughout the next cycle.
No, you're not. No, you're not. No, I know how hard this is on Adam. I don't do shit, and it's hard on me.
Listen.
Yeah, 2 episodes a week. Good fucking luck. You're not even angry anymore. Like, I'm angry all the time. That's why I can get up and do this.
Listen. If you want to know what my next big project is, it's with Joe Pop, and it's going to be angry. So,
shit.
Oh, nice.
We'll at least satisfy one other person here. So,
the first time you satisfy someone, next time you satisfy someone will be the first time. That would have been way better if I got that right.
Oh, nearly had it.
I can always count on you, Michael. I can always count on you. I know if there's one person who's in my corner with a pie for me, I know it's gonna be you, man. So
out of love and respect, you are one of the few people I consider my friend in this town. I absolutely love you and adore you. I think you're a wonderful writer. You've been a great influence on my life. You have helped me see things that I would not have been exposed to or known. And that's why I miss the Angry Wash, is because you were like, it was something that I just like, this is a poet's thing, but like C. Williams was always just there. He was just always there for everybody. But you intrigued me because you just had that same kind of bitter, fucking angry, beat down by everyone and no one cared kind of shit. And I love that. And the fact that you're a Biden Democrat pisses me off.
Got to dance with the one who brought you, Michael.
Well, I know. But, man, I love you so much. You're so
listen, we're all going to be Biden Democrats as this money keeps eking out, man. We just got to find ourselves. That's
they can't afford me.
It's just we have to find.
They can afford me.
No, I'm serious about this. I'm serious about this. Is that we have to find our own center and make this thing work. There's such a thing as what you say in polite company, right? That's not what's going to get us through.
I don't hang out with polite company anymore.
That's not the kind of show
we have to be at those tables. We have to be at those tables. And so, I mean, if this helps you at all, when you look at what happened, like everyone talks about America's role in World War II. We were fighting against fascism. But
no, we're making money for
okay, so that's one thing.
That's by selling trucks to the Nazis.
But that's one thing. But also, if you look, we never actually went to Spain and helped finish their situation. They had fascism there after the Second World War.
Yeah.
And there were two main parties who were fighting against the fascists. They were the different socialist groups like the anarchists and Stalin's people, the Russian communists at the time. And they were so busy trying to prove who was in charge, that any opportunity they had to defeat Hitler's forces in Spain was squandered. And so a lot of times we spend too much time arguing about semantics with each other instead of focusing on what's really important. And we have an opportunity here with people like Angela McNair, especially her, to move Erie forward. We have existential threats, like individuals who I will not name, who are running for positions that will grant them authority to decide.
Name names.
Name names.
Come on.
I mean, we're 2.5 hours in. No one's even watching.
I mean,
this
we can say Brian Shank. We're allowed to name names.
So the same people who fought against the community college because there wasn't any money, they're still extending this thing. And it's like, it's just terrible. The narrative it doesn't hold any water, first of all. But, we can't let these people make us feel smaller in our hearts because this is the opportunity that we get. It's probably not likely to happen again for at least another 10 or 20 years. These are the people we have. These are the young people we have who have decided Miss McNair could have gone to a larger city and been more successful there, materially. But we've somehow we've held on to her, and a couple other great people like Brother Sharif, Tyler Titus. I don't know why Tyler Titus. It's great that we have people like this here. It's great that we have some of the old school Democrats who are here. But I think they understand what opportunity it is more than some of the more progressive.
Is it though?
Or newer voices that we have.
I mean, it was a joke that you were. It was a joke that you were a Michael Keyes apologist, but this Putin apology shit is fucking.
Dude, the reason I say this is because you have to look at the total reality. You can say that somebody was bad objectively over many things, but you have to acknowledge that there was an opportunity that somebody had to take responsibility for. Okay. Now and for me personally, mark my words, you're going to see some great things that you wouldn't expect from people that you possibly have written off. But again, I have to look at the whole picture, man.
Well, when Vladimir Putin sends me a $1,400 check, I'm on board.
I don't have any hope for him. I'm just saying, like, some of these people that we casually dismiss for whatever reason, we don't really understand the position that they're in versus the objective experience. So I will say that. But it's important that we understand where our hearts are. Because, it's like I said before, if you're got a bunch of people in a room and a big suitcase of money falls down there, you're going to learn about people. And so we need people who have clean hearts, in these situations and who have ability and experience and the will to do the right thing. I think that's what you're getting with Ms. McNair and a lot of these other candidates. And then there's people out there who have wanted to have this opportunity in our county since, through so many indicators, Erie is the poorest, the worst outcomes for Black people, any number of negative ifs you can think of. This is our shot. And it's important that we're deliberate, that we're intentional, and that we organize. As well as, pointing fingers isn't going to get us anywhere at this point. We really need to act. And
have you watched this show? That's the whole basis of this shit is pointing fingers. Finger pointer.
That's all right,
Abdul, you can come back anytime because I love everything that you say, but I used to love it more when you were angry. Angela, you are a blessing to this community.
We love you. We love you more when you're angry too.
Yeah, we love you more when you're angry too, because
I'll be angry next time.
Yeah, please. We'll provide the beverage. And we'll just get you angry, and we'll get some real good sound bites, and then the media will ask you all kinds of questions. It'll be good. But you're fantastic.
Publicity is good publicity.
Yeah, but I hope nothing for the best, and I hope that after you're elected, you come back and send more platitudes our way. No, I'm just kidding. It's fantastic. And you're McNair for Erie County Council. She's giving up so much money leaving the school board to go to the county. So you gotta do that. You gotta get into it. So please come back anytime just to check in, just to let us know where you're at. Teach us your new TikTok dance so we can get the younger voters involved.
Yeah,
because I'm all about
the younger voters on this show.
Small cleanse with a big wash. I hope you're writing, my friend. I can't wait to hear your angry shit with Joe Pop. I can't wait until you run to the left of someone and beat them. Because young people turn out because your TikTok dance is the best.
Oh, it's gonna be the best ever.
You will always be my brother, and I love you no matter what, no matter how hard I am on you. But I appreciate you and I respect you, and I think you're a fucking awesome person to be here. So I hope nothing for the best for both of you, but I appreciate you being on the show tonight. All right, I'm done being nice, Adam. Let's play some music, and then I'll yell, and then we'll get out of here.
All right, here's some music. Here's some new modular music from friend of the program, Zach Lapidus. Angela McNair, Big Wash. Love you, my friends.
So much.
Thank you for being with us. We'll see you in a minute.
Social Distancing Variety
Hour. Erie.
I would love my spaghetti twirled. Would you like your spaghetti twirled? I thought you'd never ask.
Would you like your spaghetti twirled?
Yes, I would.
Oh, how do you?
Whoops, we had a little malfunction. This will come after the. This will be in the bloopers. Okay, push him in all the way. I don't know what happened. They should click. No, Lauren, they have to click in.
Yeah, I'm trying to get him in there.
Here, you want me to hear it? Let me see it.
Social distancing variety
Social
hour.
distancing variety hour. That was trash.
That was
bag.
super funny. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Do
No.
that.
No,
No,
dude.
do that.
No,
do that.
No,
Please.
Yeah.
Talk about the band.
that was
Please.
trash bag. That's called People Pizza. Friend of the program, Zoe Wesolowski. Thanks
Yeah,
again to
super
Angela
awesome.
McNair. Thanks again to Big Wash.
Small cleanse.
Small cleanse.
Small cleanse. Big wash. Small cleanse.
Keep it clean.
Keep it clean. Always wear your mask. Wash your hands. That was great, man. I'm glad you made us do a show on Easter, even though I wasn't into it.
Yeah.
I mean, not into the show, into the plan of doing it, but that was great. I just told you while that track was playing that the last time Angela was on the show, I was super impressed, and this time just was above and beyond. Just like a fantastic candidate, fantastic person. Just
Yeah,
you
for
know.
sure.
I got nothing but support, and I hope she wins. Maybe I'll move just so I can vote for her. That's pretty great. And Wash is just, I mean, I love that guy. He can do no wrong in my heart, even if he's gonna make apologies for Vladimir Putin.
Even if Putin's got a lot of good ideas, apparently.
But I mean, I understand. I completely understand where he was going with it.
Yeah.
But we didn't have 6 hours to do all the background on it. It's sort of like when I did my my Ice Cube Dr. Dre trying to explain how they, which I wanted to get into, but I went with the Montel Jordan thing instead. But like it's the same thing. Like you need a bunch of but in principle, like I understand where it's gonna go, but you need like a bunch of reading before you can get it. You need a syllabus.
Next week's T-shirts need to say the Montel Jordan theory.
I need to copyright that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, dude, I love this show. Thanks for making me do it this on a holy holiday.
Yep. Well, enjoy.
As much as I believe in Jesus and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
He was still right. Socialism is where it works, and women should run everything. And you can only trust your best friend to kill you.
He is risen indeed.
He is risen. What are we doing next week?
I don't know yet.
Oh, cool. Maybe we'll have next week off.
We might. So we might be here next week. We might take next week off because we've done like 7-8 shows in a row now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're due for a week off. We might take one next week. If not,
so subscribe to our Patreon anyway because
it's down.
$25 bottles of wine is stupid.
It's down there
Yeah.
on that side. Patreon.com/SDVH. Bonus content. Cool stuff from us.
Buy t-shirts made by Maris Collection on the Instagram, S_D_V_H_.
Also,
get into it.
Also available as a Patreon reward.
Yes. But sign up for the Patreon first because you could co-host the show. You could be on next week.
You could be
if
on
you give
next
us
week.
enough money.
Yep.
It could be just you and I and Adam. which is the perfect kind of sandwich.
Yeah.
We'll be providing the white bread.
Yep.
So
you can be the peanut
you bring
butter.
the meat.
We'll see you next week, or we won't, or we'll see you the week after, or we won't. In the meantime, take care of yourselves. Wash your hands.
Be kind to yourself and other people. Good night, ladies. Social distancing, Friday hour.